I had tweeted this out at Christian about 3 weeks ago and asked him. I didn't get a response, which something like this, I didn't expect to get a response from the man himself, from Christian. But I want to ask you guys. Now, I was rewatching the very end of the Spectacular with Andrew Guy and the Schmoeminati. Okay. Now, I'm going to bring this up here. I circled those. Now, are those possibly some sort of clue or Easter egg concerning the storyline of the Schmoeminati, those handprints, or are they just handprints that happen to be right there when they filmed it and it has nothing to do with anything?
Usually, I'd say it's just a coincidence because it is a Schmoeminati thing and every little detail counts. I think it's put in, especially if Harloff didn't answer the question. There might be something to be answered and he doesn't want to say it. So I think it's a clue.
What do you think, Dan? Our Dan, my Dan.
Okay, so I mean, I've had experience with the Schmoeminati. I've investigated them. It could be, but in my research, I saw nothing. I mean, I got hacked by the Schmoeminati. They had the smiley faces background. I never used that. What happened at the end of the Spectacular? The smiley face hat. So it was a mask. So yeah, that's a big clue right there. The handprints, I don't know. It may be a new development, but I don't know. So I have no clue.
Before going Maple Land, like for me, who uses their hands often? The crusher. Crushes thing. Hand crush. I don't know. So it might be just coincidence, but for me, it's an indication of a character that uses their hands. That something, or I don't know. It's for me, it's not a coincidence.
What do you think, Maple Dan?
Okay.
I don't know why, but I had a feeling you would have an opinion on this.
I definitely have an opinion on this, and it's absolutely not made up right now. The handprints, you notice, if you look on the video, it looks like it's a left handprint, but Guy has the camera in selfie mode. So that is actually a right hand print because all selfies are reversed when you take them.
Mm-hmm.
So a right hand print makes me think it's a 5. It's the 5 horsemen, possibly. But there's another thing of it being the right hand and Guy's true enemy being Ben Bateman. Who is Ben Bateman's right hand man? We've seen him a few times. He used to carry his briefcase around. Remember when the boss had a briefcase? What the hell was in that? We never actually figured it out. So, I speculate that Brandon Hanna, maybe he had something to do with Guy's disappearance.
Now, question for me, Daniel. Why isn't this on your whiteboard?
Because I had to do a draft a few days ago.
So obviously you noticed those handprints before. Obviously, if you didn't just come up with this, is that what you're saying? You've noticed those handprints before in there?
Oh yes, I've been watching this video at least once a day since it came out, trying to figure out where Andrew Guy is. He wasn't in the draft. There seems to be some sort of Andrew Guy impersonator on the Action Industries show, and it's confusing. Like, nobody answers questions about Andrew Guy anymore. It's like he doesn't exist.
That would be a huge coincidence if he happened to stop at that spot and it's framed perfectly because it's off center with those hands taking up the other side where your eyes would normally see a huge void. It's perfect. It's too perfect to be a coincidence.
But I have to be honest, the whole 5 horsemen thing does make sense. It really does. And I don't know. Do you think the whole war between everyone, the X5 horsemen, it's just a charade and they're still in control?
Oh no. I just fell down an even bigger conspiracy. If it truly is Ben Bateman who infiltrated the 5 horsemen and has subsequently destroyed and decimated them, And now he is now in the dungeon, which is one of the next strongest bonded factions. And let's not look into too many things there. But if we're truly looking at Ben Bateman as a possible person, and he is like second or third on my list as like the man in charge of all of these things, I worry about the dungeon's future.
First, okay, Dan, I see you down there, but I tapped my head first. Sorry.
Okay.
I'm calling an audible here, guys. We're supposed to, the opening 20 minutes was supposed to be, I was going to bring this up shortly and then get into the matches. We're going to jump into this more because concerning this kind of actually in a way wraps into Frenchie's corner as well, where I was going to present something and then also say that I'm going to lay out a full display or a full rundown of my thoughts next week, but we're doing it right now. Okay, I've been thinking this for about a year and a half, maybe 2 years, and I've got some people who can back me up on this. When Guy and Bateman had their falling out, I was like, okay, this is the long game. They're in on this. This is a setup that they want to destroy the four horsemen at the time, wasn't it? They want to destroy the horsemen. So that this whole thing was in a big elaborate thing. Ben Bateman over time, he infiltrated them and he would tear them apart and destroy them from within. And he and Guy would end up reuniting as team action, like, hey, it took us 3 years, but we destroyed you. Okay. Then they actually kind of like shit went down and the five horsemen were torn apart pretty much. So maybe that really is the case. That's what I'm pushing for, and I've been pushing for years. But then you get into it even deeper where it's not just the horsemen. See, this is where I get lost and I need some help. Because then how do we connect Guy and the Schmoeminati and all that now? Because I still think there's a long game that they're playing. They're up to some shit together and have been.
I strongly disagree on that. I think Guy is not in on it. He's on.
Well, maybe not Schmoeminati, but I mean, I think he and Bateman splitting up was all a play for them to try to infiltrate the horsemen like Bateman did and destroy them. Is what I think was.
If we're going behind the curtains, like the talks, I probably was the case. The storyline was, separate, divide and conquer, and come back eventually. But things evolved, so I think that was probably the original idea, like the whole storyline plot. But things evolved into probably what was supposed to be that turned into the Schmoeminati, right? And it grew even bigger as a storyline without necessarily going back to the original game plan. It evolved into that. That's what I think.
I think they've morphed into one big plan.
Yeah.
What do you think, Double D?
So I was very interested in what Winston said last week, that Thad could actually have been drafted. I'm calling it. I'm thinking it's Thad that's behind everything. He's getting revenge against Christian for manipulating the Schmoedown so he could get back in power. I think it's that. I think everything is all behind that. He's recruiting Drew McWeedy. He's recruiting everybody that he can. And Guy's just this next person that he's just throwing in the trunk and tied up behind a chair with a lamp over his head, keeping him sedated or whatever. And so he can evolve and take back control of the Schmoedown. I think that's the plan.
That would be so disappointing, though. If it's that, it's like it would be like a oomph. It wouldn't.
Well, I could be wrong. I could be right. I don't know. I just think because it was interesting that Winston said that he could bring Thad back. I found that very interesting. So maybe that is the way they thought originally went, but maybe they're going a different direction. But who knows? We'll find out soon enough.
Back around to Maple Dan after you got me started on my theory for the past couple of years I had going. What do you think about all this?
Well, see, I mentioned earlier that Ben Bateman is only like second or third on my possible list of the people involved. I still have like Mark Ellis higher than that, and that's
Really?
just based on.
Wow.
Yeah, Mark Ellis is a curious like choice because like he seems so like likable and nice, but if you look back, he misses a good chunk of like last season. He's like especially like in the studio matches, he was kind of missing. There were a couple guest hosts. He was touring. Sure, okay, he's
But he was.
He was.
sure he was.
That's his
Sure
cover.
he was.
That's his cover.
Sure he was, Louis.
It was his cover. He was doing it from online.
Tell that to the people who actually saw him live during his touring.
And yeah, honestly,
Hologram, dude, get with
it makes sense for Mark Ellis to do it just based on wanting to get back at Christian for like taking the spotlight. Like Mark Ellis is not co-chairman of the movie Trivia Schmoedown. He's just
that is true.
He's just
And
baby
anytime I
carrots.
hear anyone credit like anyone, it's always Christian.
And yeah, it's Chairman Harloff and this and that. And he's the one who like is the one who has to deal with all the managers. But maybe that is secretly part of Mark's plan this whole time, is he doesn't want to do all the work as well. So he has little puppet Christian do what he needs to do until things start running off the track and he needs to correct them.
And what about a lot of fans think also it might be Clark Wolf herself, because she was like, she was the commissioner, right? But we didn't really hear anything from her. So might she be more prominent in the storyline if ever she's revealed she's the one behind it? And what is the chances it's her?
I don't think so. I mean, it'd be interesting, but for her to be in the storylines, but I don't know. I don't know. I hate like Clark Wolf so much. I have her on a pedestal, so I don't want to tarnish her image in my view. So if she is revealed, I'm going to be disappointed. But I know I'll get over it. But I wouldn't like it. I wouldn't like it initially.
There was a chance, like that one time, if I'm not mistaken, Clark Wolf and Rachel Cushing was supposed to be turning heel at one point if they lost a match or something, right? So what if they just exported that idea just to Clark Wolf, or even like what we said, the two hands crusher, right? What if like both are actually going to do the heel storyline, but as not as competitors, but really as more like the commissioners, and they're pulling the strings and they're doing their hero storyline just a bit later than expected.
That's interesting. I can probably go for that, but I don't know. Well, I really don't know this because it could be anyone at this point. I mean, I had Christian. I predicted that Christian was behind Mike Kalinowski, but that's because of we see a lot of Mike's actions. I think as we see more of the Schmoeminati's actions throughout the season, I think then we can kind of get a clear picture on who's behind it all.
Well, let me ask you something, Eagle Dan. You brought up earlier the masks with the smiley faces. Do you have any theories, or have you found any connections between those masks and any particular people or storylines? Anything from any hints?
Oh, I that's a good question. The only connection I saw was when they hacked my Facebook account and they used the smiley face emoji background. That's the only thing, and I can't think. Maybe it's one of the rookies. Maybe it's someone that we haven't seen yet.
No, it can't be, because you don't know if they're going to be good or not.
Yeah, you don't know.
The only connection I see is Roka's mask, that mask. Will it maybe his evolution? Because he stopped wearing the Guy Fieri mask, right?
Yeah,
He's still a mask with a smile. What if that's his evolved mask, his new mask coming for the next season?
That could be a good one. That's something. I will say there is a connection there.
I do think, based on like your mention of Clark earlier and this mention of Roka, it would make for a good transition. So for Roka, revealing him to be under the mask and him to start wearing that new mask would be great if he was transitioning from player to manager, let's say. And I do think the Clark reveal would work a lot better if it turned out she was coming back as a heel competitor. Because if you use that for Clark Wolf's return, it goes from a meh reveal to my favorite reveal immediately, because I want Clark Wolf to come back as much as I want Rachel Cushing to come back.
Now, like, if we base it fast on the, like, say, Illuminati from the comic books, it's more than one person, right? There's like literally a team of Illuminati heroes that like are behind the scenes. So we all might be right. It might be a combination of Tad, Wolf, plenty of people who, you know, want to play the system, who are tired of certain things and decided to do their own system. And maybe that storyline is even hidden from like certain players. They don't know who's who, right? And only the players who are in the storyline know it, and they can't reveal it. But I have a feeling it's probably a team of 5-6 people that are pulling the strings, and we're just mentioning a couple of them, but we're not necessarily thinking it's a group of them.
Yeah, I actually, in my research, I did say that it was a bunch of people. It wasn't just one individual, because you need a whole bunch of people to pull off the things that they were doing behind the scenes.
Yeah.
And I mean, I don't expect Roka to hack my account, so you need someone who specializes in that to hack someone's account and do all the damage that they've done. And so, yeah, I think it's definitely at least 12 people involved, one for each slice of the wheel.
Yeah, and if that's the case, which I think so too, that it's a group, then they're spread out. They're not all in the same faction, which makes it even more interesting, because that means there's, you know, they may be playing against the rest of their faction as well, and not. I mean, it makes it very interesting.
I'm predicting one per faction. One per faction would make sense.
But, well, yeah,
like a seed in every faction,
yeah,
controlling that faction here and there.
You would have to have one after this draft, though. You know what I mean? Because for that to work out, they wouldn't have all had to be involved last season. You see what I'm saying? Because there's no way you could guarantee to get all of the same 12 people, each on a different faction.
And next thing we know, we're completely wrong, and it's Mark Ellis's dog. So we never know.
Also, Jay, as like a person who runs D&D games, like, you write stories that way so that you can fill in seeds with just you write a blank canvas so the character can be implanted later if you wanted a person on each faction.
True. Very true. That was great. I'm glad we took that deep dive into the Schmoeminati. I'm definitely going to be looking up and keeping my eye out for some more stuff. We're going to talk about this some more, I'm sure. You want to hear something funny? The mic wasn't on that whole time.
No way.
Yeah, for real.
Oh, wow.
So smooth.